This might be the most demonic case in America. It was at least one of the scariest ones according to the Warrens. This is the case of the Smurl family. Part 4. If you missed part 1, 2, or 3, go back and watch that. So the last thing I told you is that Mary and Janet had both seen the same black figure. And they thought it was over, but it was only beginning. So her daughter had just turned 13. This actually happens in the movie. Spoiler alert. So her mother was working on her dress and they were late for a church thing. They hear this tearing sound like this crazy tearing. And they're like, what is that? And then a moment later, this 4-foot light falls out of the ceiling, barely misses her daughter's head. And that's when Janet was like, okay, this has gone too far. After a few of those things happen, I'd be like, we gotta get out of here. Janet and Jack said that they knew that that light was secure in the ceiling. And what had just happened was supernatural. They start calling around looking for help, specifically at universities that have the study of parapsychology and the study of demonology. But the universities weren't really interested in their story or in helping them. One professor even asked Janet, and this is so relatable as a woman, if she'd been watching too much TV or movies lately, like suggesting that she had just let her imagination run wild. You might be wondering, like, what do the neighbors think of all this? Do they know like what's going on or what? The neighbors didn't really have any idea. But then Jack and Janet and their whole family, all the daughters, decide to go camping. And back in those days, neighbors were really neighborly, and they would like look out for your house and make sure that nothing weird was going on. While two neighbors were walking by one night, they started hearing like this flapping of wings coming from the house, but they didn't see anything. And then they heard the most terrifying, blood-curdling scream. This guy said that he's never heard someone get murdered, but he imagines that's what it would sound like. So this is when the neighbors started to catch wind that something was not right at the Smurl family home. And the haunting just keeps going. And it gets weirder and weirder and weirder as we go on. School's about to start. They get back from the camping trip and Janet takes the girls school shopping and Jack decides he's going to stay at home by himself because he doesn't feel that well. So he goes upstairs and he lays down in their bedroom and he's reading a book. And it was such a boring book that he fell asleep reading it. So one thing about Jack that you should know is when he was a child, he used to have nightmares about falling pretty often, and he would awake with a jolt. So on this occasion, Jack fell asleep and he was dreaming that he was floating and he could feel the wind on both sides of him and he could hear cars. And when he woke up, he looked down and he was levitating off the bed. He started to panic and he was thrown back onto the bed and he balls his hands into fists and he's like, show yourself, demon. Like, okay, you're gonna beat him up. But he looked around, just like when Janet heard her name being called, and there was nobody there. So here's where we begin to explore the possibility that it's not just attached to the house, but it's attached to Janet. So go to part 5.